The Dallas Mavericks have an impossible decision to make, and it's all because of Cooper Flagg. The Dallas Mavericks went into the draft lottery with the best odds at the number 11th pick, and even if we did get the number 11th pick, we would have got the best point guard available, maybe trade up in the draft for a better point guard, get an extension to PJ, give an extension to Gafford, get Kyrie on a brand new contract, and the team would have been on their merry way preparing for next season. And although I'm not complaining about getting the number 1 pick, it's the best possible outcome. Getting Cooper Flagg poses new problems. Cooper Flagg occupies the same position as PJ, and when we sign Cooper Flagg to his rookie deal, we'll be in the second apron, which will make extending PJ and Gafford that much harder. And in an article that came out just the other day, breaks down whether or not we would have to trade PJ or Gafford. So in this video, we're going to take a look at this article, see what they're talking about, and whether or not there's some way we could keep both PJ and Gafford. But how's it going, everybody? My name is Marcel Martin. This is Mavs Digest, bringing you the latest news on everything Mavericks related. And before we get started with today's video, we're currently sitting at 20,939 subscribers. I've got a goal of 22K before the start of the season. We're getting very, very close. I think we'll definitely hit it. But if you want to be up to date on everything Mavericks related, make sure you subscribe. But the Dallas Mavericks have their own set of problems that they probably didn't imagine would be possible. The Dallas Mavericks had a very up and down, tumultuous season, injuries, trades, wins, and many, many losses. But all of it accumulated to the moment of us getting the number 1 pick, which will result in Cooper Flagg, which poses more problems as Cooper Flagg does play the small forward, power forward position. I've heard that maybe he could play shooting guard, but I highly doubt it. And with Anthony Davis on the roster as our starting power forward, PJ has been moved to the small forward position. And a lot of people would assume it's not been announced as word of bond from Jason Kidd or anybody, but a lot of people assume that Cooper Flagg will be our starting small forward, which will push PJ to the bench. And with an extension on the horizon, PJ may not like to come off the bench. PJ may want more money than we could afford, because when we sign Cooper Flagg, we'll be in the second apron. And then there's Daniel Gafford, who positionally he's fine. We have Derrick Lively. He has been somewhat injury prone. There's been kind of freak accidents, but still injuries nonetheless. And a lot of people don't feel confident of giving him that starting role just yet, especially when we saw what happened last season when Derrick Lively went down with injury and Gafford just handled things easily as our main center for a good stretch of games until he had his own injury. Gafford definitely is a player that you want to keep. But like I said, the second apron, extensions, money, positions, there's a lot of problems that we didn't see coming, and it's all because of that number 1 pick. But an article that came out just the other day says that the Mavericks must make impossible choice between trading 2 fan favorites this season of the Smoking Cuban, written by Noah Weber, a good friend of mine. So let's break down this article and see what he's talking about. The article goes by saying, while the Dallas Mavericks offseason is all of a sudden cooking with steam, considering they won the NBA draft lottery earlier this month and will draft Cooper Flagg with the number 1 overall pick in less than a month, landing Flagg also created some complications that must be handled before the 2025-26 season begins. Dallas' already loaded front court is now even more crowded, and with Flagg slated to become the starting small forward on day 1 alongside Anthony Davis and Derrick Lively II, the Mavericks could be forced to trade either Daniel Gafford or PJ Washington, and that's the consensus amongst all Mavericks fans. And again, nothing from Jason Kidd or the organization has come out and said that Cooper Flagg will be our starting small forward. If I'm being honest, we haven't drafted him yet. The draft is on June 25th, so right now our starting small forward is PJ. But obviously, we know we're going to draft Cooper Flagg. They've all said it. I'm about 99% certain, but I guess with Nico, you never really know. But regardless, I know we're going to get Cooper Flagg. But yes, the obvious question is, what happens to PJ? What happens with the money that him as well as Gafford are going to be needed in their extension, as well as Kyrie Irving, who's also up for a contract? But the article does continue by saying the Mavericks will have to choose between Washington and Gafford. A case can be made about why Harrison should trade each of them, as a front court naturally has a logjam due to the addition of Flagg, and Dallas badly needs backcourt depth, but trading Gafford or Washington has to do with far more than just on-court roster construction. After re-signing Kyrie Irving, which seems to be a done deal at this point, and drafting Flagg, the Mavericks will likely be over the second apron. The second apron limits teams' ability to make roster moves, as it comes with serious trade and free agency restrictions that Dallas must avoid. Good news is, we got Kyrie. He's coming back. I know a lot of people were worried about him wanting to come back after how the last season went. Kyrie Irving could have walked. He could have just opted out of his player option and just gone anywhere that he wanted. But We're getting Cooper Flagg. That kind of fixes a lot of those emotional issues that people have with the team, players included. Kyrie Irving has stated he's very excited about playing alongside Cooper Flagg, able to mentor him. So obviously Kyrie Irving will be back. What that looks like contract-wise is to be determined. But PJ and Gafford, it really does look like someone's going to get traded. And although I don't want to see it happen, and I don't know what package out there I'd be okay with getting rid of PJ, who has been an amazing defender for the Mavericks. He's the Oklahoma City Thunder killer. And the way that the Thunder are about to go into the finals and maybe win the whole thing, PJ may seem as a commodity as teams that may look at him as the answer to getting past the Thunder. And then there's Gafford, who is seen as a hotter commodity now than ever because a lot of teams are out without a serviceable big man. The Lakers, for example, who really believe that they could give us another trade and somehow they get Gafford and we get Gabe Vincent. Just absolutely ridiculous. But on a more serious note, there will be teams pining for Gafford. If we don't lock that down, we could lose him or end up having to trade him for just scraps. The article does continue by saying, we have seen the second apron significantly limit teams like the Phoenix Suns in the past, and the Mavericks should do whatever they can to get below that threshold. Trading Gafford or Washington to a team with cap space for a smaller contract and draft capital would be an intriguing way to do that. But losing either one of them could rip Mavericks fans' hearts out once again. And yes, PJ, love Mr. Stand on Business. Gafford, I've had the pleasure to play games with them before on his stream and on this channel. I like both those players, definitely a fan favorite, and it'd be heartbreak all over again. But trading Gafford seems to make more sense, as Lively II, Davis, and a free agent center, potentially Kai Jones if they re-sign him, can hold down the center spot. Considering Davis will likely close most games at the 5, it wouldn't make much sense for Dallas to have 2 of their top 6 or so players on the bench, Lively and Gafford, during crunch time. The Mavericks have a surplus of centers, but on the other hand, it could make sense to keep Gafford since Davis and Lively are notorious for being injured. And that last part is what I agree with the most, the fact that both Lively as well as Anthony Davis are known to be injured. And Gafford, aside from that one injury where he missed a big chunk of time after, I want to say it was after All-Star break, aside from that, Gafford has been reliable. And if we do have injuries with Anthony Davis, Derrick Lively, you want to make sure you have a solid backup. We still have Dwight Powell, shout out to Dwight Powell, but don't think we want to go that route again. You definitely want to have good backups. I understand that we do have a surplus of big men. Kai Jones could easily be a very cheap option for us if we were to trade Gafford, but I'd much rather keep him than trade him. And then there's PJ, which just, it keeps coming back to him as the odd man out, as that situation is a little bit tricky. The best case scenario is that you give PJ the contract that he asked for, try to negotiate, make it team friendly, and you do allow PJ to be the starter. You tell Cooper, you're a rookie, you're great, the number one option, but we need you to come off the bench to back up PJ. And if everyone's copacetic and everything's good, then hey, best case scenario, you keep everybody, the positions are filled, everything's good. But it's reality, and things aren't that easy. The article does continue by saying Washington's case for the Mavericks to trade him will likely lie more upon his desires. As Flagg coming to Dallas will send Washington to the bench. Washington would likely be the Mavs' 6th man, but considering he has started over 80% of the games in his career, this could be a move that he isn't happy with. He also happens to be in a contract year, and if the Mavs don't extend him this summer, he'll be wanting to show the world that he is worth a big contract next offseason. Washington wouldn't be able to do that as much if he were coming off the bench instead of being a starter, and the Mavs could explore trading him this summer or at the trade deadline if signs are pointing to them losing him for nothing next summer. And we, unfortunately, as an organization, are notorious at just letting good talent go for either nothing or for very little. Jalen Brunson comes to mind. Kristaps Porzingis, that trade also comes to mind. A few other players as well, as we typically pull the gun a little bit too soon on players, or we wait a little bit too long to trade players or to sign players. So you definitely want to make sure that you do it at just the right time. If you're going to keep them, keep them. If you need to trade them, don't hesitate and don't wait too long. Do it at the right moment to fix whatever logjam you may have or any positional need you may have. Or maybe you do it just to get under the second apron, which, in my opinion, that's not really what you want to do. Don't trade players for the sake of trading players. You still want to stay competitive. Or maybe go do a rebuild route, which I don't think we're doing anytime soon. We are still trying to stay competitive, but you don't want to dump PJ or Gafford just to fix your money problems. The article does wrap up by saying, but Washington being content with the six-man role is also a possibility for Dallas, and this would be ideal for both parties. The Mavericks could explore signing Washington to an extension before the season begins, while making it clear he would come off the bench. Washington is the definition of a team player and loves the city of Dallas. And even though he wouldn't be starting, the Mavericks would likely close with him alongside Davis, Flagg, Klay Thompson, and Kyrie Irving. Keeping Washington and Dallas would give them an incredible amount of wing depth and defense to throw at opposing forwards all season long. And losing Washington in a trade could have potentially devastating consequences. Washington has been a major X factor ever since he arrived in Dallas, and since Harrison's team is built upon solid defense and size, they'd be losing key part of that. And that right there leads me to believe that PJ isn't going anywhere unless the negotiations go completely south. PJ's like, no, I will get this amount of money, I will be a starter, or I'm out of here. And I don't really see that. He's from Frisco. He's from the Dallas area. He does enjoy here. He's had big moments. You see the stand on business poster in the back. He is a Dallas Maverick. Ever since he got here, he just fits perfectly. Daniel Gafford as well. But like Noah Weber said in that article, the best case scenario is PJ putting his pride to the side, doing what it takes for the betterment of the team. He becomes our sixth man, who honestly he could become sixth man of the year if he just really just owns that role. He could still get the contract that he wants, but maybe the smaller role, backing up Cooper, Flagg, and Anthony Davis. But one thing that I don't think a lot of people are thinking about is the fact that with PJ still as a backup or a starter, that gives us a lot of relief. Anthony Davis, who may deal with injuries still, we don't have to play him through injuries. We don't have to risk him if he's not feeling good. At any moment that Anthony Davis doesn't feel well, cool, sit out. We could rest you on any given night because we got PJ. We got Cooper Flagg. Omax is still there for backup. We got Najee Marshall, a couple other guys for backup as well. That could give us a little bit of an edge to allow Anthony Davis to stay as healthy as possible and not risk injury playing through a back spasm or an abductor strain or any other injuries that he may sustain, or a twitch or a twing that he may feel, or whatever it is that Anthony Davis feels whenever the glass bones start creaking. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Do you think we can keep both of them, or do you think one of them has to go? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. We'd have a conversation about it. But that's all I got for you guys today. Thanks for making start to the video. Make sure to check out our Twitter and Discord. Links in the description below. And as always, y'all take care, drink water. Peace.